Okay, I want to talk to you about the Bible today. The Bible is an interesting thing. It is a number of books from several different authors that was put together over a very long time. The Bible has the Old Testament, the Jewish Bible. Christianity comes from Judaism. Jesus himself was a Jew, and he lived by their laws, their rules, and that was actually very important. The old parts were recorded. Some of it was oral tradition. So all of Genesis was actually a song. There are books of poetry, like the Proverbs, the Psalms, and there's recorded history in there. So you get to see kind of the story develop. Something that does this pretty good, but is not entirely accurate, is the Bible series. It was a mini-series that was on TV. You can find that, I'm sure. And then the New Testament is actually recorded accounts of Jesus when he was on the earth. Those are the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And then there's several letters that were written from the early church leaders to Christians. So those are incredibly helpful because it gives you a window into what was going on at that time. Their reflections on what it meant to be a Christian were incredibly vital because most of those people were actually with Jesus even after he rose from the dead. So I'd be very curious to hear what they have to say. People often say that all scripture is God-breathed. This is, from scripture itself. So then they read it as if it's just a straightforward, well, there it is. That is actually in the New Testament before the New Testament was put together. So when that was written, it's probably more likely referring to the Old Testament, meaning all the old prophets and the Jewish law and all that stuff. That is described in the Bible as being good for teaching, correction. So a good exercise is to read some of that old stuff, and it can be a little confusing. Maybe have somebody help you, but and just try to find out why it's there. Ultimately, most importantly, what I have to say about the Bible is the Bible is not a book that is supposed to be believed just for its own sake. It's not a magic book of spells. It is sacred, and it's incredible that God's kept it together over so many years. The Bible is there so that we can believe in who the Bible tells us about, which is Jesus, so that we can actually know what God is like, know his character, and then see how that was confirmed when Jesus came to the earth. When you read the Bible, read it to find out what God is like. Read it to understand him, to see what it is that God is asking of people. Don't read it because you have to. Don't read it because it's a book of do's and don'ts or spells or things that you think if you say it, everything's gonna go, be just right. But read the Bible to actually discover who the real God is. There's answers in there, and there's things and keys and clues into a great many things.